Tatiana, are you ready? Tatiana?
Just checking, can anybody else hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect, thank you.
Tatiana, are you ready?
Hi everyone, yes, this is Tatiana. I'm on Zoom and I am ready if I can start. Or actually,
Can't
sorry.
really hear you, Tatiana.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I
you
don't
closer to your microphone possibly?
I have them in my headphones. Let me
It's just really low.
Okay, let me just check that my mic is connected to them. Or let me try the laptop one sec. Is this better? I could try speaking up. Is this better now?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay,
you.
I'll just speak a little louder then. Sorry.
It's
Make
fine.
sure these are not covered.
All right. 1 second. I haven't convened the meeting yet.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't see Gwen online.
Shannon's online.
Okay. I think Gwen
All
is
right.
online.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. I hereby convene the February 9th, 2026 hearing of the Santa Barbara County Zoning Administrator. My name is Linda Liu, and I'll be the zoning administrator for today's hearing, and Mr. Jonathan Martin will be clerking. This hearing will be conducted under the provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act, Open Meeting Law, as well as the provisions of California Planning Law and the Santa Barbara County Code. We have 2 items on today's agenda. The clerk will read each item into the record, and I will announce any ex parte communications. And then I will get comments from the case planner, followed by the applicant or the applicant's agent. And then I will get comments from the public. Anyone who wishes to testify should submit a speaker slip, or if testifying remotely, use your raise hand feature. All right, the first portion of the agenda is for general public comment. This period gives the public an opportunity to comment on matters that are not on today's agenda. Mr. Martin, do we have any requests to speak on that?
Madam Chair, we have received no requests to speak and no letters.
All right, then I think we are ready to proceed with the standard agenda.
Okay, I want you to read item 1 into the record, 24 TPM-00001, Terrell Subdivision. Hearing on the request of Alicia Harrison, agent for the property owner Chris Terrell, to consider the following case number 24 TPM-00001 and to determine the project is exempt pursuant to section 15315 minor land divisions of the state guidelines for implementation of the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I do not have any ex parte communications to announce on this item. Ms. Cruz, are you ready to proceed?
Okay, hello, this is Tatiana. I am ready. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tatiana and I'm the assigned planner for the Terrell subdivision project. This project was continued from the January 12th, 2026 zoning administrator hearing in order to update the administrative record, and from the December 8th, 2025 zoning administrator hearing in order to allow time for the applicant to evaluate the potential adjustments to the proposed parcel sizes. The updated project description is provided in the staff memorandum dated January 22nd, 2026 to reflect the updated parcel size. The project analysis is provided in the staff report dated November 21st, 2025 and is unaffected by the minor project description change. The project is located at 4653 Via Roblada, and the properties in the surrounding area are zoned 2.5 EX1, located in the Eastern Goleta Valley Community Plan area in the 1st Supervisorial District, and the area is developed with single-family residences and accessory structures. The project before you today is for a tentative parcel map to allow the subdivision of a 12.99 acre parcel into 3 parcels. And no new development is proposed as part of the project. As proposed, the project is consistent with all applicable requirements of Chapter 21, the Subdivision Map Act, Article 2 Coastal Zoning Ordinance, and the Comprehensive Plan, including the Coastal Land Use Plan, and the Eastern Goleta Valley Community Plan. This project is exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15315, which exempts minor land divisions into 4 or fewer parcels when the division is in conformance with the general plan and zoning. No variances or exceptions are required. All services and access to the proposed parcels to local standards are available, and the parcel is not involved in a division of a larger parcel within the previous 2 years and does not have an average slope greater than 20%. This exemption applies to the proposed project because the project requests to subdivide a 12.99 acre parcel into 3 lots, is located in an urban area zoned for residential use, and is in conformance with the general plan and zoning. Staff recommends that you make the required findings for approval included in Attachment A to the staff memorandum dated January 8, 2025, determine that the project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Section 15315, and grant approval of the project subject to the conditions included as Attachment B to the staff memorandum. MC actually should say dated. It's the same as from January 8th, but most recently, the most recent staff memorandum stated January 22nd, 2026, just to clarify that for the record. This concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cruz. Those in attendance that want to speak on this item, please use your raise hand feature. Ms. Anderson, you're going to represent the applicant team? All right. Ms. Anderson, do you have anything to add to Ms. Cruz's presentation?
Hi, hi, good morning. My name is Ginger Anderson with Brownstein. Alicia is my colleague. With me today are Chris Jacobs, the attorney for the owner, Tim Hazeltine, the historian who provided the historic resources report for this project, and the owner, Chris Terrell. I want to thank you, Ms. Liu, for being here this morning, and Ms. Cruz for your work getting us here. We agree with the conditions of approval and the findings in both CEQA and the CDP findings and the Subdivision Map Act findings. The property in the proposed project is consistent with zoning and minimum parcel size. The barn, which is the item raised in the neighbor's letter, is not historic, and thus subdividing the property will not have an impact. The Hazeltine report also concludes that if the barn was historic, it would still not, that concluded that even if the barn was demolished, it still would not have an impact for the purposes of CEQA. I do have a presentation that I provided. I'll go through it quickly. There's not a lot there that wasn't already covered by Ms. Cruz, but if I could.
All right. Mr. Martin.
Thank you. So the entry slide here is a picture of Hope Ranch in the 60s. And really, the story to be told here is that the story of Hope Ranch is a story of subdivision. The proposed project, consistent with that history, is the parcel map to create 2 new parcels, establish the easements. It does not include any physical development, and no demolition is proposed. The non-historic barn, is shown on this image. 2/3 on our property, on our owner's property, and 1/3 on the neighbor's property.
Ms. Anderson, just because we're talking about the barn, can I ask a question? How did the barn come into existence?
Sure.
Morning, Ms. Liu. Chris Jacobs. The barn was built in approximately 1950. They don't know exactly the date of the barn, but at the time, the the constructor of the barn owned both parcels. And it seems like they didn't understand where the parcel was, or they realized that the barn was going to straddle the common property line between the two parcels. And they just decided to deal with that. And then when they went to sell the barn in approximately 1960, they decided, both owners decided, hey, we can live with this arrangement for now. And they entered into a shared use agreement, which is in effect a covenant, which provides that each of the two owners had the ability to use their portion of the barn and access their portion of the barn, take care of the barn. If either party decided at some time in the future that they wanted the barn removed, they could do so, and that the costs would be shared. So
Is that recorded with the,
it is a recorded document, and I believe that should be in the administrative record. But if not, I have a copy of that agreement here if you'd like to see it.
great, thank you. I don't need to see it. Trust you. All right, Ms. Anderson, sorry for that interruption.
We'll just moving right along. The next two slides are pictures of the Hope Ranch over time and today. This is the extent of the 2.5 acre minimum lot size. That 2.5 EX1 is not an agricultural zoning. It is residential zoning. And that 2.5 minimum parcel size extends up and along this whole neighborhood, along the street. So again, the project proposes no change to the barn. The project is consistent with the minimum parcel size, does not propose development. Future development would have to conform to setbacks and would be subject to additional coastal development permits. There would be no impacts to views, and the existing property line, planting, and fences remain. I think that's another point to make, that there has always been a significant hedge and fence along the property line, kind of isolating this as a separate parcel from the Stanford Trust parcel. And we have Tim Hazelton here if you have any questions about historic landscapes or historic property or barns. But in general, that's about it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Martin, can we go to public comment?
Yes, we have one hand raised and public comment. Travis Lowe, I'll unmute you. If you're ready to go, you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, Ms. Liu. First of all, is there a copy of the presentation available? We could not see that, so that's just a question that I raised. But these remarks supplement our February 6th letter. This tentative map cannot be approved because the county cannot make the mandatory findings under Government Code sections 6647C and D. First, section 66474C requires that each resulting parcel be physically suitable for independent use. Here, the subdivision carries forward a legal non-conforming barn that straddles the boundary with our client's property. One newly created parcel would contain only a fragment of that structure. The staff report does not analyze whether that parcel can be independently maintained, insured, repaired, or brought into code compliance without permanent reliance on a non-applicant neighbor. Without that analysis, the county cannot lawfully make the suitability finding required by section 66474C. Second, section 66474D independently requires denial where the site is not physically suitable for the proposed density. This is a coastal blufftop property. Adjacent parcels are substantially larger, reflecting real physical constraints on blufftop development. Tripling density while isolating a cross-lot historic structure intensifies those constraints. Yet the staff report contains no analysis demonstrating that 3 parcels are physically suitable for this site. Because the required findings under section 66474C and D cannot be made on this record, this map must be denied, or at a minimum, continued for further analysis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Logue. Ms. Cruz, can you respond to Mr. Logue's concerns?
And Madam Zoning Administrator, yes, if I could please, just to clarify that the project does meet all the applicable requirements for this subdivision, and the site is physically suited for the proposed project. There are adequate services, including water and wastewater availability, fire access, and easements in place for access and utilities. And the project has been reviewed by all departments such as Environmental Health Services, La Cumbre Mutual Water Company, who confirmed that there is adequate services, and was also reviewed by the County Fire Department, Flood Control, and the County Surveyor, all who confirmed that there are services available to adequately serve the proposed project. And regarding the existing barn, which is a legal non-conforming structure, there are no proposed changes to the property line boundary under the existing legal non-conforming barn, and it would remain in legal non-conforming status. There's no requirement that this non-conforming structure be corrected because it is a legal non-conforming structure. And staff also reviewed the neighbor's concern about the subject barn being historic. However, it does not have any potential for historic value per the historic resources report that was included as attachment I to the staff memorandum dated January 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cruz. Mr. Martin, are there any further requests to speak on this item?
We do have one other person in the attendees column. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Seeing none.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I'll go ahead and close out the public comment portion of this item. I am satisfied with Ms. Cruz's analysis on this project. It was a little complicated to get here, I understand. But I am satisfied with the analysis. I'm satisfied with the staff memo that was presented. And I will go ahead and make the required findings for this project as specified in attachment A of the staff memo dated January 22nd, 2026, including the CEQA findings. I do determine that this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15315, as outlined in the notice of exemption included as attachment C to the staff memo. And I approve this project case number 24 TPM 0001, subject to the conditions of approval included as attachment B of the staff memo dated January 22nd. Thank you very much, Ms. Cruz. Ms. Anderson and your team, thank you very much for being here. I will go ahead and move on to the next item, Mr. Martin. Maybe give us another 5 minutes so that we can clear the room. All right, Mr. Martin, I'm gonna reconvene this hearing. Go ahead and read the next item into the record.
Absolutely. Item number two, 18 TPM dash 00000 dash 00005, Guy tentative parcel map. Hearing on the request of the owners, Anthony and Natalie Guy, to consider the following case number 18 TPM dash 00000 dash 00005. Yeah, sorry, gotta find my place here. And to consider the previously adopted mitigated negative declaration 09 NGD dash 00000 dash 00014 prepared for the Chalopuca tentative parcel map and included as attachment C1 to the staff report, as well as the Environmental Quality Act CEQA guidelines section 15183, project consistent with the community plan or zoning, and the analysis prepared in attachment C.2 and C.3 as adequate environmental review for the proposed project.
That's a mouthful. Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I do not have any ex parte communications to announce on this project. Mr. Kringle, are you ready to proceed?
I am.
All right, you're on.
Good morning, Ms. Liu. The item before you today is a request by the property owners, Anthony and Natalie Guy, for approval of a tentative parcel map to subdivide a 10-acre parcel zoned RR5 into two 5-acre parcels at 5572 Stillwell Road in the Orchid Community Plan area. The proposed subdivision complies with all applicable zoning and land use requirements, including the RR5 minimum lot size and setback standards. No development is proposed as part of this application, and existing development on proposed parcel 1 includes a single-family residence, detached garage, and ADU. Proposed parcel 2 is currently undeveloped. Access to parcel 1 remains via 2 existing driveways off Stillwell Road, and access to parcel 2 will be provided via a proposed 32-foot wide reserved access easement along the southern boundary of proposed parcel 1. This new easement replaces a previously proposed access from Hamilton Lane, which was found legally infeasible following litigation. While a proposed portion of the future access for proposed parcel 2 will traverse slopes greater than 30%, alternative alignments were deemed infeasible due to impacts on oak woodlands and infrastructure conflicts. The selected alignment was supported by a geotechnical report and determined to comply with the Orchid Community Plan standards regarding slope stability and erosion control. Environmental review was completed by relying on the prior mitigated negative declaration that was prepared for the Chaloupka tentative parcel map in 2007. That project is substantially similar to the project before you today, aside from the proposed access easement running along the southern portion of proposed parcel 1. The future development of the access driveway was analyzed under CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15183. No new significant impacts were identified. The project is consistent with the comprehensive plan, including policies related to adequate services, biological resources, visual resources, and hillside protection. And conditions of approval address future development, including undergrounding of utilities, erosion control, and tree protection. If you concur with staff's findings, we recommend that you make the required findings for the project included as attachment A. Find that the proposed project has been adequately reviewed for compliance with CEQA based on CEQA section 15183, as well as relying on the prior M&D for the substantially similar Chaloupka project, and approve the project case number 18 TPM-5, subject to the conditions of approval included as attachment B. And I just want to note here, we have requested some modifications to condition number 7 that I sent you an email about earlier today, Ms. Liu. I can display that on my screen, or I can just read out the modifications.
Can you please read it out loud?
Yeah, so this is special condition number 7 of attachment B, special condition bio-3 pre-construction surveys for California tiger salamander. So the condition will be modified as such. Prior to approval of a land use permit, and then I will add for subsequent residential development and associated infrastructure, any proposed, and then I will, rather than say building area, it will be development area, shall be marked in the field and surveyed by a qualified biologist for the presence of California tiger salamander or suitable habitat. Potential boroughs shall be identified and examined and avoided to the maximum extent feasible. Surveys of these, instead of building areas, again, development areas, shall include an appropriate surrounding area in order to accurately characterize the area and to make adjustments of the, and instead of building envelope, again, development area, possible given any constraints identified, and the rest of the condition will remain as the same.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kringle. Is that the extent of your presentation?
Yes, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions, and I know the applicant is online as well.
Great. Before I go to the applicant team, Mr. Kringle, can you share that change in the language on screen for the time being?
Yes.
Mr. Cross,
Yes.
thank you for being here. Do you have anything to add to Mr. Kringle's presentation?
Yes, I do. First of all, I want to thank you for being here today, as well as all the work that Soren has done and Shannon has done as well. Their team has worked extensively on this. I'm here today with Tony Guy and Natalie Guy. They're in the room with me. This has been a long time coming. The previous map was approved, as Soren indicated, but because of both financial and medical reasons, the map expired. So when the guys purchased the property, they wanted to proceed with the tentative parcel map. So they've done that. They've done all this work to get to this point. And we don't want this extended. We don't want it delayed. We'd like to have it approved. However, Soren brought up changes in the conditions. And I just want to say that we object to these last minute changes. It's redundant. It's already self-explanatory. I don't believe that these last second changes are really appropriate in this case. And as long as he brought that up, we not only have a condition on Bio 3 because of the changes, we'd like to have it as was previously approved. Bio condition number 4 requires a qualified biologist to be on site during any initial grading or future development. And I would just like to say that what planning is doing here is predetermining what a biologist would determine. We've already concluded from Bio 3 that the biologist will come out and do a survey, and from there they can determine what's appropriate for development. Condition Bio number 4 requires them to be on site, and I think that should be a determination of the biologist, not planning. I don't think planning should make that decision. So that's, after all this work to get to this point, those are the last couple items we wanted to talk about. And I'll leave it open for Mr. Guy and Natalie Guy if they would like to make a comment.
Yeah, I think that the comment that I'd like to make is I want to thank Soren Kringle, Shannon Reese, and Tina Mitchell, because they've done a lot of work to get us here over the last 7 years. The hard part for me has been the fact that when we bought the property, it had been approved, but because of medical issues with the previous owner, they died during the process. So when we picked it up, we actually thought this was going to be a simple process. And here we are 7 years later and $350,000 later, just trying to complete a lot split that was approved at the time in which we bought the property. But because of new conditions, it's been difficult. Now, I'm not blaming anybody, but I do want to thank the planning and development team because they've done a lot of work to help us to get here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guy, and Mr. Cross. Thank you for your comments. Mr. Kringle, or actually, Mr. Martin, do we have any requests to speak on this?
We have no request to speak on this item. We did collect one comment letter that was inside the box folder from Andrea Manos and Richard and Linda List.
All right, thank you very much. I did see that public comment letter. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and close out the public comment on this item. Mr. Kringle, one of the questions I did have is, Mr. Guy brought up that this was previously approved and it just ended up expiring. So the staff report indicated that the approval was previously heard and approved by the Planning Commission. Is there a reason why this is not going back to the Planning Commission and is coming before me?
Yes, Ms. Liu. So the prior project required a mitigated negative declaration, and pursuant to Chapter 21, tentative parcel maps that required MNDs are required to go to the Planning Commission for approval. However, because we are relying on CEQA 15183 and relying on the prior MND for approval on for this project, it is exempt from CEQA. We found it exempt from CEQA, and therefore the zoning administrator is the decision maker.
And was that prior MND the one that the Planning Commission relied on?
Yes.
Okay. So that MND does not expire. The findings for the MND does not expire by nature of the TPM being expired.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So then if that is the case, to Mr. Cross's point, why, if we are relying on all the same things, why would the conditions be any different than what the Planning Commission adopted?
I think that the main difference here is the driveway. With the original project, the driveway was not proposed across proposed parcel 1. We did conduct, the reason we didn't solely rely on the prior MND was because of the relocated driveway. However, rather than having to prepare an entirely new environmental document, we were able to use CEQA 15183 to still exempt the project, even given the new driveway location. And these conditions are pulled directly from the initial bio report that was done for the project, which analyzed the entire site. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we see that future development will certainly be located on proposed parcel 1, and we just want to make sure that that development is also analyzed to ensure that there's no potential bio impacts down the line. So there is a difference between the two projects. However, we through the CEQA 15183 we were able to ensure that it was still an exempt project.
So, okay, understood. The condition that you have up on screen right now, is that in contemplation of the change in where the access would be?
It's not what it really, frankly, we probably could have just used this original condition. I think what we were trying to do was just to clarify, because there was some back and forth between us and the applicant. We just wanted to confirm that down the road, when they were going to be proposing development for this driveway, that development area would be surveyed properly for CTS impacts. And that's really where these changes are coming from. It's just making it more clear that not just the grading for the building pads is analyzed, also the grading for the driveway is analyzed. And that's what we were trying to accomplish.
And when is the driveway theoretically supposed to be done? And that this analysis would kick in? Yeah,
so there's no development proposed with this tentative parcel map. However, prior to a land use permit for a single family dwelling, they'll need presumably the driveway would be developed in concurrence with their development of the single family dwelling on proposed parcel 2.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cross, you have further comments?
Yes, thank you very much. We agree with the original proposed conditions. And as far as the driveway, Soren is correct. It's not intended to be put in place in conjunction with this tentative map, but sometime down the road before development is on parcel 2, it would have to be put in place. So it will be definitely separate. And I just want to reiterate, we have an issue with this change, but we don't want the project to be delayed or not approved. So if it's make or break, we we're okay with that. However, we think that it definitely covers it. They intend to have a biologist survey on any future development, including the driveway. It just seemed redundant to me that they changed this condition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cross. I don't have any I understand your point, Mr. Cross. I think that from my perspective, the language change that Mr. Kringle is proposing on screen right now makes sense to me to just clarify for future development because we are unsure when that development may potentially happen. Maybe way past my time, past Mr. Kringle's time, maybe. I don't know. So I'm okay with the proposed change. So Mr. Cross, Mr. Guy, based on that, these would be the conditions that I would be inclined to impose. And would you guys be in agreement with these conditions?
Absolutely.
Proceed.
All
Yes.
right. All right, thank you very much. Then I will go ahead and close out this item and make the required findings for this project as specified in attachment A of the staff report, including the CEQA findings. And I do find that this proposed project, case number 18 TPM 0005, has been adequately reviewed under CEQA based on the mitigated ND and the subsequent attachments. And then I approve this project, case number 18 TPM 0005, subject to the conditions of approval included as attachment B of the staff report and as revised in today's hearing. Thank you very much, Mr. Cross, Mr. Guy, for being here. Mr. Kringle, thank you for the hard work on this item. I appreciate the thoroughness of your report.
Thank you, Ms. Liu.
All right, Ms. Reese, thank you for being here.
And thank you very
Thank
much
you.
on behalf of Tony and Natalie Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Martin, I believe that concludes our hearing for today.
We're
Yes,
done.
Madam Chair, we are adjourned.